Alright guys, I am in Season 4 of the World Pokemon Federation, the WPF, in the A Division once again, as I have been since Season 1, though with the massive reshuffling of the tiers so that they make sure that they have the best players in the right tiers for those players. I actually almost dropped down because for those of you who have not been watching the WPF directly, you've only been watching, following my channel, may not realize, but I actually did my Mono Generation 7 draft last season because the WPF was a league which allowed you to actually just draft without having to take a Mega, which is obviously a requirement of doing a Mono Generation 7 draft. Um, I haven't done a Mono Generation 8 draft yet, but the Mono Generation 7 draft was, I think, my second last Mono Generational draft that I had to do, and then the Mono Generation 5 draft, which I have in the PDL right now, which is serving me pretty well so far. So I actually, because I made the meme team, I didn't get the best results as I normally would, and I actually almost wound up dropping down to the B division. But I did manage to keep it in the A division because the main competition I had just didn't make it through playoffs, and in semis lost to the person who wound up winning that season. So yeah, I'm in A division, which is good. It means I've got some really good competition. There are some really good coaches. This is a Generation 8 National Dex draft. Um, it was originally going to be a Generation 8, not National Dex, a Generation 8 Gala Dex draft, but they cancelled that on, they were worried that it was not going to have enough Pokemon to have like a full balanced league with 11 Pokemon each. Which, I guess that's a fair decision that they made. They would rather have larger pools of people with larger pools of Pokemon than restrict smaller pools of people, which is fair. Um, I don't mind it too much. I'm in another league right now, which is a mono Gala deck, so I like my team in that as well. But it's all good. So here is my team. I was really struggling as to which Pokemon I wanted the most. Because there are a lot of Pokemon that I haven't used yet that I would like to use. So I was really not sure of which one I wanted to choose for this specific league. So I wound up, sorry, but there were no tier 1s left that weren't new Pokemon. And I didn't want to pay for like tier 1 Poltegeist or something. So I wound up going with something which is a combination, or it's just a Pokemon that I haven't had a lot of chance to use. I only used it in one of those APA style drafts where you have the three separate sections of drafts, although it was only two separate sections. So basically, I only had 5 weeks with Garchomp, and I wound up actually dropping it right before the end so that I could have Heatran in playoffs. It was in my Mono Generation 4 draft at the time. Though all my other drafts besides Gen 4 and Gen 1, I did full leagues, not just those two halves of that league. But I quite I don't know. I went up and down on Garchomp. Actually, I thought Garchomp was really bad while Z moves existed. Um, which a lot of people, I mean, the Z Stone Edge set is obviously quite effective, but I really wanted to see what Garchomp was like in a meta where it could run bulky sets a lot more effectively because there were less Pokemon that could randomly just completely meme it. So that was why I was quite interested in Garchomp because it doesn't really rely on Z moves as much as other Pokemon do. Like obviously Z Outrage meant that he couldn't lock into Outrage, but he has plenty of moves already to cover a lot of things. He's got ridiculous coverage, including special coverage like Surf and Fire Blast. He's got Earthquake, Iron Head, Poison Jab, Stone Edge, Crunch, which I have actually used on Mega Garchomp before, because I've used Mega Garchomp actually probably I think more than regular Garchomp because I had it a full season and then I had it 2 half seasons. I think both leagues where I drafted it, I wound up dropping it for a different Mega. Um, both of them I actually upscaled the Mega because I know in one league I had Mega Garchomp and I wound up dropping it for Mega Latios, and then the other league had Mega Garchomp and I wound up dropping it for Mega Lopunny because I just found that I wasn't bringing Mega Garchomp to anything and I had spare points. And so I want to drop Lopunny. So I was like, okay. But yeah, this is a prominent Stealth Rocker, it's a prominent Swords Dance Sweeper, but it's also got the Rough Skin and the Sandveil, so a lot of items, including there's the interesting item to combine with the Stone Edge set of the new Blunder Policy to give it speed control effectively. It's not showing up here. Ah, right, because I don't have this clicked, it's defaulting to um, Generation 7. Okay, now I've got that. Now it's saying the berries do the right thing. It's got the blunder policy. Yeah, So I think this could be quite good as an option for a defensive Pokemon as well as an offensive option. Ground and Dragon are a very nice type combination, even if it doesn't have a roost like Flygon does. I think just the general massive difference between its stat and Flygon's are more than enough reason to go with Garchomp. And then something that my main thought was to go with Garchomp, and I never thought I was going to take it round two. And as you can see, I picked it well into my free picks. Was Skarmory. So Skarmory is another Pokemon that I used. I actually used it with Mega Garchomp in the second league that I had it in. I've used it alongside. I've only used it, I think, in Triple Steel Cores before. So for those of you who've been following, I don't think I've actually YouTubed one with a team like that yet. But I used a Skarmory, Heatran, and Empoleon in the NSCPL, and I made it to playoffs, and then I lost round one of playoffs just because I had like no matchup. Um, my team just kind of got completely memed upon because they had Celebi, which my only Celebi answer was Skarmory, and they had Trapping, I believe. But yeah, basically, it's a good Pokemon. Um, it's actually got like crazy setup. A lot of people don't realize this. I think it's ridiculously better than Corviknight. Not only because it's got that massive defense stat, it's got Sturdy to be able to deal with special hits from time to time, which is very useful. It's actually got some like ridiculous coverage along with Swords Dance as well as Rock Polish, or you can weak armor setup. Um, it has whirlwind to phase things. It's got spikes and stealth rock as well as the defog. Roost for recovery. It's got roar if I'm not aware of anything why I wouldn't be able to run Whirlwind over Roar, but if that is a thing, it's got Toxic, which Corviknight also doesn't have. Um, it just has so much more ability to chip down and wear through Pokemon, and then both of them have Taunt, which is very nice. So being able to spike to support Garchomp is what I was mostly looking for because Garchomp can struggle a lot with physically defensive, fighting, and ground types. Because like his main move to hit a physically defensive ground type is like Surf, and he doesn't even have one to hit a physically defensive fighting type outside of like just hitting it with stab. So that's a good way to chip it down into range of stab, as well as it's a very good physical wall, and it's not weak to Garchomp's weaknesses of Fairy, Dragon, or Ice. It actually resists Fairy and Dragon, which is very nice. Though I think the actual second pick I wound up going with was Toxtricity. This was a bit of an impulse pick. It was in Tier 2B because this was a sub-tier draft league. So Skarmory was also in Tier 1B and this was Tier 1A. Um, I feel like I was pretty early in the draft, and I feel like Garchomp always tends to go like late round one or early round two, so it never gets back to me if I was there. And I just didn't really know what else I wanted. So Toxtricity has a really interesting stat spread. 75 speed is unfortunately pretty slow. 114 special attack's okay. 98 attack's okay. 75, 70, 70. It's not the most ideal defense, but it's definitely usable for an offensive Pokemon. It's got this ridiculous ability, Punk Rock, which boosts the power of sound moves times 1.3, so that's a life orb boost on every sound move, and it takes half damage from sound moves, which means it has Boom Burst, which, with a 1.3 times boost, is 182 base power. He just has 182 base power normal move, the type that doesn't have many resists or immunities. So basically, and then he's got his signature move of Overdrive, which is not, apparently it's not a good move. Well, I guess it is technically, outside of the fact that it's a sound move, just worse than Thunderbolt. But the fact that it gets the free life orb boost times 1.3 means that even despite the lack of special effect, but yeah. But it does also have Technician if I want to run a physical set. So he actually gets access to Shift Gear. So raises speed by 2 and his attack by 1, which can be really good because, I mean, raising through speed is nice in any situation, doesn't matter what Pokemon you are. But the ability to also then be able to set up for speed, but also to be able to set up an offensive set, because the 98 attack, when you combine that with like Technician, means that there's maybe some coverage moves that it could use that are pretty effective. I'm not entirely sure of, I'm not aware of anything specifically. I think I looked a while and you didn't see a whole lot of moves besides like Snarl, which is a sound move, so you could just get the life orb boost on it anyway. It's less, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, I wasn't really sure if there were too many moves, but I mean, it's certainly not impossible that I'll use it. I wish he had Acid Spray. Or he doesn't. No, yeah, he does have Acid Spray. Acid Spray was a move specifically that I thought worked well in conjunction with Technician. But yeah, so I think he's pretty decent offensively. Electric and Poison is a unique typing. I think there's a cap that has it. Looks like a Mana Ray or something. I'm just gonna search for cap. I played like one Cap League. It was pretty fun. Plasmanta is also Electric Poison. It's got a very different stat spread. 131 special attack is obviously a lot better. It doesn't have the attack investment. It's got very creative Pokemon style stats. But let's just pull back Toxtricity. But yeah, pretty good. The ridiculous power of like the dual stab. Because like electric is ground is immune to it, and grass resists it. Electric resists it. Am I missing anything? Dragon resists it. Poison is also resisted by ground, but otherwise hits the other types, which is okay. He's got Fire Punch right through, for example, Ferrothorn. If you do on like a Shift Gear set or a physical set, you can run Fire Punch, and it's pretty good. He's got Thunder Wave and Toxic for support, as well as Volt Switch for pivoting. So if I want to run like a Choice Specs or a Choice Scarf set, it's pretty option. It doesn't have the great speed though. I think it's the main downside to it. I think a lot of people question even being put in Tier 2B, but I thought it would be nice to try out. I've got Alomomola. Those of you who've been around for like the last year know that I used Alomomola a lot in one point in time, and I just kind of stopped using it while I was trying to use other new Pokemon, and now I'm probably just going to go back and just using Alomomola because it's so good. 165 HP, and then the 75 attack, 80 defense are ridiculous. It just walls everything. It's got knockoff off of its base 80 attack, which is just scary for a lot of Pokemon to deal with. The number of times that you can just like pick off someone because they're being dumb and they let you Aqua Jet them is ridiculous. Like they're like, oh, this is an Alomomola. It's got no special attack. Clearly, it's only gonna be special. And then they just like lose a Pokemon because they didn't expect you to hit their Bishop with Wake Up Slap. Like, it's good. It's good mon. Don't disrespect it. Wish support is great. Healing Wish support is also good. It's got screens. No, no, it only has light screen. But I mean, sometimes you only need light screen. It's got Magic Coat. It's got like on paints, but no, yeah, it has good support options as well as the Scald, which is just really nice. It can be really difficult for other people to break through, but I also found that if you build it right, it's not going to be set up fodder for basically any Pokemon. Yeah. Dedenne. I'm actually gonna because they do have different movesets. I do get both in DDDs. Ability Inner Focus. I don't know why. Whatever. In DD, I did not do that right. Indeed. Okay, well, it makes them look the same, but an important move that I think it's probably listed as male. No, I'm looking at the male one. I'm being dumb. Okay, well, I guess it's listed as banned, which makes sense. But Baton Pass, which is not actually illegal. The female one gets Baton Pass, the male one doesn't. Okay, that's the problem. Is this one is not being listed as in DDF, which it should be. Okay. Yeah, Baton Pass. They both get the ability Psychic Terrain, which, if you don't know, Psychic Surge, which someone Psychic Terrain. If you don't know, this generation, terrains were heavily nerfed. They now, instead of, well, Misty Terrain wasn't, but it wasn't that good anyway. Now, Psychic Terrain, Electric Terrain, and Grassy Terrain, which previously boosted the power of Psychic, Electric, and Grass moves, respectively, 1.5 times, now only boost at 1.3 times. So instead of getting a free Choice Specs, or Choice Band on every move, you only get a free Life Orb. But it's still free. I mean, it's at the cost of an ability. It's now weaker than the ability adaptability, but you know, you're still immune to priority. Being immune to priority is really nice when I've got Garchomp, who doesn't like the Ice Shard, got Toxtricity, who just doesn't like getting hit generally with a lot of stab, especially like a stab extreme speed can go through this relative frailty. So then you've got Indeed, the fast and like good one, and then you've got like the slow one that has baton pass, so you're probably gonna wind up running it just because it has the support. Now they get Thunder Wave, which sucks, or Toxic, which sucks. If I was designing this Pokemon, I definitely would have given it Thunder Wave. He actually doesn't even like get that much to contribute for losing. I'm pretty sure he gets like Trick Room, which is fine. I'm not sure this team really has a Trick Room backbone to it. It's only really Doublade, Cooladin, which I get to. But yeah, decent support mon. The ability to baton pass is pretty nice. This league is baton pass legal, but you can't pass stats or just sub or etc. etc. Just any like stat change intentionally. It's hilarious having fake out on a Pokemon there. It gets Hyper Voice, which is nice. Like the stab is good. Like off of the let's go this one because he's stronger. But like off of the base 105 special attack, when you get a free life orb on your psychic moves, it's not bad by any means. It's definitely not like set up for or anything. It's just very frail. 60-55 is awful defensive stats, and 60-95 isn't that much better. I think this one gets like 70-65, which is still not very good. Um, but speed's okay. Like having 95 speed is by no means bad. Having 95 speed, 105 special attack, and a free life orb on one of your stabs is very nice. The Shadow Ball coverage is pretty good because it lets it hit opposing psychic types, especially like Steel Psychics like Jirachi and Bronzong. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting support mon. I thought I wound up drafting a few more psychic types around it. So also other Pokemon I thought were good, but I actually drafted Lycanroc before then. So this is Lycanroc Day. It was like really cheap, and I think that a cheap Lycanroc Day is much better than a Lycanroc Dusk at normal price. Like this one was tier 4B, and Lycanroc Dusk is tier 3B, and I would never pay an extra tier's price for Lycanroc Dusk over Lycanroc Day. I mean, I have before, but that's why I came to the decision I'd never do so again. Also, the other important thing about Psychic Terrain is that everything just gets first impression now, like Flygon and um, was it Flygon, Durant, like Incineroar or something crazy. It's just some random mons get first impression now. But yeah, Lycanroc, 112 speed, faster than the 110 speed of Lycanroc Dusk. Basically means that like it can crunch Latias. Just good to be faster than Latias and Latios and under 110 Pokemon. 110 speed Pokemon are honestly not incredibly relevant. A lot of times you don't see many being going drafted. I remember there was one league with 3 divisions, and I think between them all we saw Mega Latias go in all 3 divisions. It should have been banned. It still should be banned. And then nothing else. So it's like, yeah. So fast Stealth Rock, fast Taunt. I always love the 112 base speed Taunt because there are not a lot of Pokemon who have that fast Taunt. I mean, Rock is obviously a nice thing, but it's got really good speed, so it can have the ability to Swords Dance and then just kind of break through a team using like Stone Edge, Iron Head, Zen Headbutt, Drill Run, Fire Fang. It's all really nice. The main problem is that it lacks the ability to hit Landorus or Gliscor in any way, shape, or form. Generally, it just struggles with bulky grounds that don't have a secondary type that it can hit super effectively with its coverage. But it's a good Pokemon for 40 points. Then we have Quilladin. This was not the last Pokemon I drafted, I think. I'm pretty sure I drafted it like before Skarmory. But I wanted a Spiker. I wanted a Pokemon Leech Seed. I wanted a Pokemon that was like a physical defensive wall. 6195 with Eviolite is very good physically defensively. Um, it basically has the ability to just not be set up for it and everything because it has, I mean, ridiculous coverage for one thing. It's got Super Fang, so nothing can stop on it. It's got Wood Hammer, which again, base 78 attack is not crazy, but it's not very passive at least when you have 120 base fast stab. It's got ridiculously other coverage. When you bulk up, your defense just gets even more ridiculous. It can Endeavor, it can Gyro Ball. It's got Leech Seed is a big thing, as well as it has recoverage in Synthesis. And I don't think it's a Spiky Shield, but just I figured another Spiker would be a really nice option, and I wanted something which can honestly just beat most grounds just by itself, with the exception of like Camerupt. I think it's faster than Camerupt because I think Camerupt's only base 40, um, which is a really random thing to be looking at right now. Camerupt's not even in this generation, so we don't see it. But yeah, well yeah, it's also a Sludge Bomb switching. It was it? I think it infinitely walls Venusaur, unless it's a physical Venusaur. I mean, well, physical Venusaur has to poison jab it, and then special Venusaur doesn't get Sludge Wave, so it walls Venusaur. It's pretty funny. Ribombee actually made this in free agents, like their free trade period, and I don't even remember which Pokemon I dropped for it, but it was definitely the right play. Webs is nice. It's really good for Toxtricity. It's really good for Garchomp. Decent for Lycanroc. It's really good for the base 95 and DDD, as well as for some other Pokemon that you'll see. It's just fast, which is good because before I picked it up, I was lacking a Pokemon faster than Lycanroc. Which when you had Jaspion and Garchomp right around the same amount was not great. It's got Tailwind support, it's got U-turn, it's got just Quiver Dance set up. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a Ribombee. It'll do what I need it to do in the match once I bring it. I always think Bug Fairy is really good. I really like Stab Bug. There's a lot of Pokemon like there are enough Pokemon who normally resist Bug, but then have good secondary types, but then those secondary types don't resist Bug. When you have, like, for example, Incineroar, or, like, Bronzong Jirachi, or, like, Tapu Bulu, because then you have, like, for example, Fairy Steel Core, like, Fairy Steel Dark, sorry, Fairy Steel Fire, which your normal, in a standard draft, that's your resists to Bug, and then none of them resist Bug, because all of them have a secondary typing that's weak to Bug, which I do quite like. Like the ability to hit Ferrothorn with neutral stab is pretty good. It's pretty fun. I like offensive bug types. I've used Ribombee a lot, used a lot of the Webbers a lot. It's definitely not awful like Galvantula. Yeah, so Espeon, I only drafted this because I have Indeedee, otherwise it's not great. Last time I picked it up in the WPF was back in season 2, right near like the end of the season, and it was just, I mean, like it won one match, because my opponent just kind of forgot the Magic Bounce existed, and then a Magic Bounce had Toxic Spikes, and then killed their Poison type. Otherwise, it just like it hurt like one mob, and then that was it. 130 base special attack is a lot better with the free Life Orb on its stab. Um, it's not bad by any means, but no, it's not bad. 110 speed is usable. It has Baton Pass, which I think does make it a lot better. The ability to run a Choice Specs or Choice Scarf set, but then still have the ability to switch out. The ability to be completely immune to Pursuit, which was unbanned for this league. Um, it's got a usable coverage. Didn't get Mystical Fire this gen, which I think is really bad for it. In terms of its competition, like its competitiveness with a lot of the other fairies and psychics this gen. Like Hatterene, for example, gets Mystical Fire, but it's not bad. Like it's usable. Just really frail on the physical side. I mean, 95, 65 is okay on the special side. There's a lot of like hidden powers legal, so you can take a lot of hidden powers that way. So it allows me to like mid ground out of a lot of attacks. Um, yeah, it's just not bad. Skarmory, I already talked about it. Now Doughblaze, just wanted a second steal. I need another fighting type switch, and I think was my thought process at the time. Which is kind of weird. Oh, it was because I didn't have Ribombee. I think the other Pokemon I had before Ribombee was weak to fighting. Um, but I don't remember what it was. I think I dropped like, no, I don't remember. But yeah, so then I was like, oh, I just get an immunity. And Doublade. Doublade is one of my favorite Pokemon. Not necessarily in the draft format, just generally, I quite like it. I thought it was funny in the anime and the manga, and I like its design a lot. And I had it in game in X and Y, and I didn't know how to evolve it because it was stone. Basically, it gets close combat this gen. That just gives it a better matchup against some Pokemon, mostly normal types, because he's got Ghost Stab for steals. But yeah, it's got like good coverage, rock moves, dark moves, stab of like Ghost and steals, really good. Because nothing. So I think the Pokemon that wall it are like Pyroar and stuff, and now it's got CC for them. Um, Incineroar, just anything which resists or is immune to Ghost, combined with something which is resists or is immune to Steel. And then even then, it's got like Yarrow Ball, so you can hit with a very strong base power move. 150 base defense is obnoxious when you can run EV Light. Like, I remember I built a set one time last gen to just sit in on a Mega Lopunny and eat high jump kicks. The downside is you can't dodge high jump kick as a no-guard though. Yeah, it's pretty strong. It's pretty defensive. It's definitely a Pokemon that I find myself bringing a lot when I have it, so I could definitely see myself bringing it a decent bit. It's also got Steel Meme, but unfortunately, unlike the big one, doesn't have any special attack. But yeah, it's pretty good. Then I've got Hooper Unbound. This Pokemon, the last generation, I'm still not sure about my thoughts this generation, but last generation I would generally say it should be banned. 160, not and banded, but also just like not legal. 160 attack, 170 special attack. Hyperspace Fury on the physical side. It's not here. But is it removed this turn? I mean, it's legal either way. Okay, no, it's just here for some reason. Um, I mean, I guess they always put Hyperspace Hold down here, even though it ignores Protect because it's weaker than Psychic. But I found myself bringing Hyperspace Hole in certain matchups. This is a very good balance breaker and a very good, mostly just balance breaker. Base 80 speed, which means there are a lot of Pokemon that are slower than it, and there are a lot of Pokemon that are faster than it that just can't take attacks from that. When you get a free Life Orb because of Psychic Terrain, like the Banded Zens and the Banded and the Specs Psychics and Hyperspace Holes just cleave through a team. Like I'm pretty sure Specs Psyshock in Terrain to it KO's Blissey to memory, which is really nice. It's got Taunt, it's got Nasty Plot, it can set up screens. I believe, yeah, it's got both screens. It can set up Trick Room. Again, I don't really have much of a Trick Room backbone on this team, but it's definitely got the option, and just the setup options are really nice, as well as the massive special defense stat of 130, so 8130 is really nice. And it's only weak to the two typings of Bug and, was it Bug and Fairy? Unfortunately, again, this move allows legacy moves, not just transfer moves. So Signal Beam is legal, which otherwise is a dead move, which does hurt its special defensive capabilities, but otherwise, it's pretty good. It's definitely a Pokemon I'm excited to. I think this team is very offensive, which is funny because the team's got like Alan Wall, Quilladin, Skarmory. Um, but otherwise, it's a very offensive team, but it's got a lot of Pokemon who have the ability to run defensively. Like Electric Poison as a typing has some really nice resistances. Got resistance to flying, obviously it's got resistance to poison, got resistance to bug, got resistance to grass, got resistance to steel. So like it's got a really nice niche in terms of that defensive capacity, as well as I don't have a lot of Pokemon that are weak to ice with the Garchomp, which means that Pokemon who are running Hidden Power Ice are just losing a move slot against every single other Pokemon that I have, bar Quilladin. Um, so hopefully, yeah, this does turn out pretty well. Um, I really like having the Quilladin and Skarmory with their own recovery element over there to be able to support bulky sets on Doublade. On Espeon also has a weaker Wish. It's only base 65 HP, but it's an option. Wish into Hooper, Wish into Garchomp, Wish into Toxtricity. So yeah, hopefully this season does go pretty well. I would like to make ADIV playoffs again. I really wouldn't want to fall down. But yeah, hopefully I'll make ADIV playoffs again. Hopefully I'll be able to use Toxtricity and Indeedee a decent bit. I've never actually drafted Quilladin before, but I've used it doing mocks for other people in the 8-man format a lot, so I'm hoping to see if it works similarly in this full Pokemon format. Otherwise, I've used every other Pokemon here before, but I would really like the opportunity to use Garchomp even more. The 130 attack is really nice. I'm pretty sure when I brought it, I brought a Choice Band set, and then I just killed, I think it was a Capalion with Outrage. It was pretty fun. Yeah, it's a good team. A lot of fun Pokemon that I can try out, and hopefully we go well. I hope you guys are excited for our weeks. I won't lie, I have already played my week 1 match, and you guys will see how it goes. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Have a good one.